Hello, welcome to my channel. I am that NEMT girl. Today we'll be getting into another video. Today's video will focus on how to get a broker contract. So let's go. Alright, so jumping right into it. The first thing that you want to do when it comes to contracting with a broker for your company is you want to first identify the broker that you are interested in. Right off the bat, you want to know what are their requirements for you to become approved with them as a provider. Does your company currently meet those requirements, or are there a few things that you need to tweak so that you can become approved? Are your vehicles within the years that they require? Some companies or some brokers require that your vehicles are not older than 2006, 2008. So you want to make sure that your vehicles meet those standards. Are your commercial insurance limits high enough? Do you need to increase your limits? And if so, you may want to go ahead and get other quotes from companies that you have not gotten those quotes through. You may be leaving your insurance company that you're currently with because you may find a better rate once you go ahead and do that search for better quotes. Do your vehicles maintain all of the equipment that the brokers require for the specific vehicles that you have? For example, if you're going to do stretcher clients, correct? Then you need to make sure that whatever equipment or insurance limits specifically for stretcher clients that your company either already has or they can obtain. Because stretcher clients typically have different requirements for the vehicles as well as the equipment that your company upholds. Now, one major thing that I always recommend is that if you are starting to get with brokers for the first time, or if you are changing your limits for your insurance because you are going with a new contract for a broker, you want to make sure that the insurance is the very last thing that you do. The reason being is because there may be other paperwork that you have to gather, but the moment that you activate that policy, you're responsible for that bill. So it does take some time to get approved through the broker. So you don't want your paperwork or your application package to just be sitting while you're waiting for someone to review it, and you still have to pay this commercial insurance bill, because once you start doing your quotes, you'll see it's not cheap. So make that the very last thing that you do in your process. Now, once all of your documentation has been submitted, and you're just waiting for somebody to get back to you, and they do get back to you and they want to negotiate your rates for your contract. Here's the part where you want to make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing, because brokers will try to lowball you as best as possible so that they can keep more money in-house for themselves. It's business. You always want to try to negotiate the best rate for your company, because this is what you're going to be locked into for the duration of your contract until you can negotiate again. Now, some contracts are reviewed annually, and you want to make sure you know when your contract renews so that you can see when can you update your rates to reflect the current market trends. Now, the negotiation rates, they will vary, but I always say a fair and safe number to try to negotiate with is within 50 cents to 65 cents more of what they're offering. For some brokers, you can negotiate more than that, but what I have seen is that's a safe number to jump from what the brokers give you. Now, of course, I want you all to get the most that you can, but I also don't want you to get overlooked from other providers because you're putting your numbers and your rates too high to compete. So you don't have to go with the 50 cent to the 65 cent range, but come up with a number and a rate that's safe for you to go ahead and get approved to start getting some business going. Now, some brokers will send you over a contract and then you negotiate your rates. Some brokers, they will ask you for your rates and then they will try to negotiate your rates from there. And then some brokers, they have a contract where their rates are just set and that's what they are. But you will be able to call for quote, what they would say, call for quote. And basically that's simply what it is. You call for the quote if there is a trip outside of your service area that you can do, but you want more money for because it's not your average service area. It may be 15 miles outside, 30 miles outside of your service area, so you definitely want to make sure you're charging for those deadhead miles, and put a little tip on it because you're doing a little bit extra that you don't have to, and you can always negotiate that rate. You may say your rate for that trip is going to be $250, and the broker comes back and says, okay, well, can you do $230? So you always want to make sure you put a little extra on there, because at that same time, whatever they try to negotiate you with will probably be the number that you really wanted anyway. You also want to negotiate your net pay time. So when you do a service or provide a service for a broker, of course you're not paid that day. You have a net pay. So net pay can vary depending on the broker. It could be net 21, net 30, net 45. That just depends on how many days after the service has been provided that you'll get paid. So the quicker the better, right? If you can negotiate your net pay, I say do so. A lot of brokers, they try to stick to the agreement and not negotiate that, but some brokers, they will. So nothing beats a failure but a try, so try. You need this money in your business. So you don't need money and invoices just sitting out, floating in the air. You need to be able to recoup that money as fast as possible. Especially if this is the beginning stage for you with your company, you definitely want to make sure you're getting your invoices paid as soon as possible, because you never know what things may come up that you need those funds for. Now, the average approval time that I've seen for brokers to approve your file is between 3 to 4 weeks, but it can take longer than that. You want to make sure that you're following up with whatever department that they have assigned for new provider onboarding. You want to make yourself known to them. Hey, I'm interested, I'm eager, I'm here, I sent my stuff, can you look at it? Doing this gets you on their radar. So they will definitely say, okay, let's look at this file and see what this company has going on so we can get them approved within our network. Now, depending on the broker's need, if they have an opening for, providers in the area that you're interested in, you may be able to start seeing trips immediately, or it may take your company a few weeks to become a cycle in their rotation of providers. So it just depends on the broker on how long it'll take for you to see trips within your portals, or getting assigned to your company. Now, once approved, there are a few things that you definitely want to make sure that you understand about the broker that you have been approved with. The first thing is how to work their website. Different brokers have different features on their websites in terms of what you can access. So if they have a training provided, you definitely want to make sure you're taking notes and you're asking as many detailed questions as possible once you become approved. How does this broker send you trips? Do they have a portal that they use? Do they send it to you via email? How are you accepting these assignments? Because you definitely want to make sure you understand that task as well, because that controls your money. Now, there may be certain times where you or your dispatcher may need to reach out directly to the broker's dispatch department. Say, for instance, you have a client and they're a no-show. The driver's on scene and they're not coming out for their ride. Well, you need to let someone know. So you need to know how to get in contact with their dispatch department, or what is their chain of command in the case that event happens. You need to know, how do you submit your invoices? How are you going to get paid from this broker? Do you submit them via email? Do you submit them via a processing software such as Square or PayPal? Do they have an itemized report that comes directly to you once a month? How do you get paid, and how can you track your invoices and your trip progress with this broker? Now, as a company yourself, you need to have some type of accounting software and some type of way to keep track of the invoices that you are owed from each broker or each client that you provide services for, because if not, it can become very easy to miss out on payments, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to provide free services. You definitely want to make sure that your company is getting paid for each service that they provide. Now, typically brokers have either quarterly submissions or annual submissions of things that you need to submit back to them on time. So you need to know what they're looking for from you, and you need to also keep track of maybe like a list or a calendar of those deadlines, so that you're not missing those deadlines, so that your file does not become inactive. Because if they require you to, submit different paperwork or updated paperwork and you do not, then you can be removed from their system. And you don't want that, because that could slow up your revenue. Now, this is just a recommendation that I have. I think broker work is great. It's a guaranteed check. You have a great idea of how to balance your revenue for the month, and it's a great way when you're first starting your company to definitely get out there and get the experience that you need for your company. However, there is a but to this. However, I do not believe that you should build your company solely with all putting your eggs into the basket of broker work, because you can become what they call in the broker rut or the broker run. And what they mean by that is brokers, they require different requirements and limitations and certifications that, if you build your clientele and your company on private pay, it's totally different. Now, I do think that private pay is a little difficult to get in the beginning, which is why a lot of providers do turn to the broker work in the beginning as well. But if you don't have a plan for your company to transition out of broker into private pay, it's very easy to become in that rut. So I just want to make sure that you all keep that at the forefront of your mind, that broker pay is not nearly as good as private pay. Yes, it may be a little easier to achieve and to get the volume. However, you definitely want to make sure that you're putting in the work to market your business for your private pay clients as well. And of course, we'll have a video on that later on down the line in terms of marketing your business. But I just wanted to touch briefly on that. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little thirsty. Now, if you're starting your journey into your business or you're looking to expand with more brokers and you're not sure exactly where to start, click the link below for my Linktree page because I do have a list of contract brokers for you to check out. If you have any questions or concerns, you need some advice on things for your company, as always, leave them below so we can get this community of NEMT providers going. Thank you all for visiting my channel, and I look forward to seeing you all next time. Bye.